Sometimes you need an engineer, sometimes you need a person trained in marketing, sometimes you need a person trained in information systems. It's a very wide spectrum.
The Right People, a supply chain career, is a video series presenting different aspects of a career in health supply chains. In the first episode, you learned about the critical role supply chain managers play in healthcare and well-being. In the next video, we explored academic and professional qualifications and what it takes to succeed in the profession. In the third episode, we explored the role of women in supply chain management. In this final video, we show you that you can enter supply chain management from almost any professional background. And we hear from experts that supply chain management is a highly respected and highly rewarding career choice. Why not me? Can I make a difference as a supply chain manager? In this episode, you will hear personal career stories from people like Andrew Brown, IntraHealth International, Paul Lalvani, Empower School of Health, Pam Steele, Pamela Steele Associates, Maeve Magna, Global Health, Supply Chain Expert, Jenny Froome, SAPEX, Claudette Diogo, Ghana Health Service. Any one of their paths could be your path too, but yours will be unique to you.
One of the interesting things about a career in supply chain management is there's a number of different pathways for supply chain managers to come available to do their work. I had the privilege of meeting lots of supply chain professionals, and it's quite interesting the backgrounds they come from. Some start off with developing on-the-job skills in supply chain environment and then move on to get professional credentialing through an international or local supply chain professional association. Some people leave school knowing that they want to be a supply chain manager and will undertake an undergraduate degree in supply chain management and then seek to develop practical skills to complement that over a couple of different job placements.
Modern supply chains rely on many different skills, many different professions. They include architects and engineers who build warehouses, transportation and even aeronautical engineers who design delivery vehicles, including drones, software developers and data scientists who design and use supply chain information systems and devices, marketing and communications professionals who help to understand and even drive demand for products, educators who teach and train supply chain personnel, economists and financial managers who focus on the cost of delivering goods. Every one of these professions offers a pathway into supply chain management.
We've seen really good lawyers who are working in supply chain. We've seen finance professionals working in supply chain. We've seen engineers, pharmacists, everybody.
Today, one of the greatest supply chain person I know actually went to school and did Bible studies. But he found it a passion.
In episode 3, we looked at different ways you can learn about supply chains: academic degrees, professional certifications, and on-the-job learning are 3 typical routes. Some people end up working in supply chain from other professions, or they start in one area and find themselves changing focus and learning entirely new skills. Every story is unique. This last episode looks at some of those stories.
It's interesting how I joined the logistics supply chain because I used to do part-time work during school holidays, during secondary school holidays. And I would join my brother-in-law, who was then a storekeeper in a clothes manufacturing industry. They specialize in manufacturing t-shirts. And it's through that time that I got involved in the stores, in the picking and packing. And I liked it. And I asked him, what would I need to be able to get into that? He wanted me to pursue the CIPS qualification and open my horizon to various areas.
I've always loved working in supply chain. It's an enabler. Nobody would ever know who we were until something went wrong. So we always said that, if nobody's talking about how good the supply chain is, then we're very successful. But if people are inviting us to meetings and they're complaining about the stockouts and all of that, then we're obviously not doing our job well.
It's such a broad space that the career opportunities are many. You can go from public to private sector, you can travel internationally, you can work locally within the regions, etc. And the types of jobs that you're able to go through, again, are quite different and offer just such a breadth of experiences.
Not a dull day passes by when you work in this environment, and that's why I like this job.
Public health and humanitarian supply chains also benefit when people working in commercial supply chain get involved in these life-saving systems. And people find this brings a great sense of personal fulfillment and job satisfaction in a profession which is enjoying a rapidly increasing measure of respect from clients and other stakeholders.
In my private sector life, I was mostly working in US, Europe, Japan, and Australia. And with public health and access to medicines and supply chain, my first assignment was in Papua New Guinea. Soon thereafter, I was in countries like Yemen, most parts of Africa, Afghanistan, completely different landscape and environment. And what I found what I was doing for companies, I was now supporting countries.
For decades in the health supply chain, the job of logistics was assigned to pharmacists based on the belief that medicines could only be properly managed by a pharmacist. But university pharmacy programs typically did not teach supply chain and logistics, leaving the people tasked with storing and distributing medicines and vaccines with no preparation for doing their jobs. In the last decade or so, this situation has begun to change.
When I started to work in global development over a decade ago, the first question I would be asked is, am I a pharmacist? And the second question would be, are you a doctor? And when I told them I was neither, but that I was a logistician, I would get very suspicious looks, and sometimes people weren't interested in what I had to say because they didn't see that I had the credentials that they would have been used to. However, over the last decade, there has been a huge shift to a recognition of logisticians and the important role that procurement and supply chain people play within the health system.
There are a lot of people who are not trained in supply chain management, who are actually expected to perform the role of a supply chain professional. So you've got doctors and nurses and pharmacists who are fully trained and experts in their field, but they're put in charge of the distribution of drugs, and they're put in charge of the transportation and the storage of drugs. And they're very rarely taught the supply chain skills that are required.
All the bosses are doctors. But then, because of my supply chain background, everyone keeps coming back to me for some intervention with regards to supply chain, and they cannot really do without. So because of that, any decision that has to be taken health-wise, you as a supply chain person or I as a supply chain person is actually needed. They actually give you that reverence and that respect.
I think it's a fantastic career. But for me, working in low and middle income countries, working on health supply chains is so rewarding and I think extremely satisfying. Again, you get to see the impact of the work that you're having. So come and join us. It's great.
In this video, we have covered some important topics to remember. People from many different careers and educational backgrounds have become supply chain managers. Modern supply chains rely on many different skills and professions that complement the managers and workers. The field is so broad that people can grow in unexpected ways and learn new skills, totally transforming their careers. Supply chain managers are getting more and more recognition and respect from health workers and health ministries. To learn more about how you can get started in a career in supply chains, visit Laptop, the Logistics and Procurement Training Opportunities platform, to find over 650 learning opportunities from in-person and online training short courses to university supply chain programs and professional certification courses. Find us at rhsupplies.org/laptop.